That's okay. Let's do dream scenario first, and then I'll play the background.
Okay, so all of us strangers review. Welcome to a One Take podcast. We've only been talking about that we were going to review Dose movies for
That's totally my bad.
for
My week has
2
been
weeks.
insane. God damn, I totally.
I'm just glad I'm not the one who had to be like, I didn't watch the movie. That was a real possibility. I literally just finished Dream Scenario like 30 minutes ago.
Well,
I've been supposed to watch that movie for like 2 months now. Since it's been streaming, I've been like, I got to get to that movie, and I finally had a reason to get to the movie, and I literally forgot to get to the movie. That's insane.
They literally put it out post Oscars, so they're like, "Oh, y'all will actually watch this," and it just was like, "No."
Actually, we will not.
Welcome to a One Take podcast again, episode 169. We are back after taking a couple weeks off of the Oscars because there was some dumpuary, but actually a few good movies came out recently. A lot of good horror movies came out recently, including like Late Night with the Devil, which is a Shudder release. Immaculate with our girl Sydney Sweeney was doing okay at the box office. So some big time horror movies coming out in March, which is exactly when you should release those. Anyway, how we doing?
You know, 3 things about this podcast is that we love Florence Pugh, we hate Rami Malek, and that I don't watch horror movies.
Right. So, Tej, you saw Late Night with the Devil. Do you want to save your thoughts until later, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. It's. I enjoyed it. It's not like the best thing that you've ever seen, but it's very entertaining. It is a concept that I've never seen before. I didn't know the concept of the movie, but to now, obviously, it's very obvious based on the title. But my brain didn't put together exactly what that meant. But yeah, it is a pretty good. I enjoyed it. Would definitely recommend it if you like horror to go see it, especially if you like possession movies, which is kind of the concept. But it was kind of something I've never seen before, so I did like it.
It's going to be streaming. It's going to be on Shudder. So if you don't have Shudder, I'm sure we don't recommend like pirating or anything on this, but you should be able to find it.
I didn't even know Shudder existed until like
$7?
2 weeks ago.
Shudder's like randomly a little more expensive than you would think. It goes along with like AMC Plus, which is also a thing. Sure, but
I found out that Shudder existed like 2 weeks ago. I didn't know.
That's where they put all your favorite horror movies, by the way. Yeah. All the indie ones that like are in theaters for 2 weeks. That's where they all go. Anyway, also Love Lies Bleeding came out. All of our friends who have the time, all of our unemployed friends have seen that. And I have not.
I have not either.
I also have not. I want to. I hear it's real cinema. I just haven't had the time to get around to it.
I think it was in theaters again for like, you know how they do like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday releases. That was one of those, and it's gonna be gone tomorrow, so that sucks. Anyway, we're reviewing 2 streaming movies because that's all the time that we had to get to before Godzilla versus Kong to the streets comes out this week. Is going to be our big movie that we go and review here in a minute.
I just got my tickets. I'm so excited for some real monster action, real kaiju action. I can't wait.
I'm not excited. I just feel like drawn to it. Like I can't fight it. Like I just have to be there.
I can't fight it.
I know it's going to stink. But I just have to.
That's how I literally felt about the first one, Godzilla versus Kong, when like nothing was in theaters and it came out. I was like, I gotta see it. I gotta see something. Thank God, I gotta see something. I didn't hate the first. I think we talked about it on this podcast because I was like, you know, not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah,
it's stupid. It's
I've
stupid.
Seen Fast 10. I mean, that's way worse.
That's true.
Oh, for sure.
But this week again, we're reviewing 2 streaming movies, 2 of the ones that were critically acclaimed that may have been up for awards in certain circles, and then the studios just didn't push them hard at all, and then just kind of let them go to streaming after the award season came out. We're talking about Dream Scenario and All of Us Strangers. All 3 of us are going to talk about Dream Scenario, but Tej can like take a nap or something during all of a strangers conversation.
Because that's definitely one you don't want to have spoiled. for you. So
Yeah, these are both films. These are both films. These are movies, and we will talk about them.
I know that
Is
you really didn't like All of Us Strangers. You're the only person I've heard that says everybody else is over the moon about it.
me?
Yeah.
No, I'd say I give it 4 stars on Letterboxd, which if that
Got
means
it.
anything, but like it's whatever that means. But whatever arbitrary measure that is. But yeah, I liked it. I didn't like enjoy it. Is kind of how I would frame that.
Got it.
So let's talk about Dream Scenario first. Came out 2023, rated R, hour 42 minutes long. Nice. 7.0 on IMDb. A hapless family man finds his life turned upside down when millions of strangers suddenly start seeing him in their dreams. When his nightmare appearances take a nightmarish turn, when his nighttime appearances take a nightmarish turn, Paul is forced to navigate his newfound stardom. 74 on Metacritic. Written and directed by Christopher Borgli, I believe is how you pronounce that name. Stars Nicolas Cage. A lot. There's a lot of Nicolas Cage in this.
so
All
much.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. A bunch of other hosts of character actors, and not to like spoil anything. I mean, Julianne Nicholson is here as well, but like not to spoil it, like Noah fucking Centineo pops up in this. Tim Meadows is in here as well. But yeah, I don't know if this did anything at the box office. $11 million at the box.
Was, yeah, 10 million, 11
Yeah.
million, whatever.
$11 million at the box office. This continues Nicolas Cage's run of playing weird dude. Normal guy, but is just a little off. You know? They're like, play a normal guy. And he's like, I know exactly how to play a normal human being.
Best I can do is play me.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics love this. If my computer will work, I'll tell you what fans thought of it. 91% critic score, 68% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So
that's too low. I don't like that.
The 91 is more surprising to me than the 68. I'll be real.
I totally feel the opposite. The 68 is more surprising to me than the 91.
Come to Dream Scenario for career highlight work from Nicolas Cage and leave mulling over everything it has to say about pop culture's fickle whims, if that's what you want to call them. Anyway, Dex, you know what? Let's start with you, because you started off before I even sent the link with saying, not for me.
Boo.
Oh man, I just wasn't feeling this movie. I get it. I think like the fickle nature of viral success or whatever. Like I live it every day. I work in social media. This is what I do.
We're online.
Yeah, I get it. It's just the character Nicolas Cage is playing. What's his name? Paul. He's like very intentionally uncompelling for the first chunk of the movie, and then when the movie like turns, when it takes its nightmarish turn or whatever, I was already so unmoved by him that I just didn't care. Like it just wasn't that interesting. I'm not interested in like what's happening at that point. I'm only interested in why it's happening, and then you get to the end of the movie and the why is like just a big nothing burger. Like I just wasn't moved. The commentary is fine. They build you up one day just to tear you down, and like now you're a social pariah and people are spending your food or whatever. Like that's cool, but okay. I'm going to say something very dumb. I know this is dumb. I hate when people do this, and I hate myself that I'm about to do it. This movie becomes 10 times more compelling to me personally if this is a black actor instead of Nicolas Cage. If this is a story about like racial profiling and about like how we create monsters out of people of color or whatever, I'm like 10 times more invested in that movie than watching boring Nicolas Cage be boring and then be mad and then the movie's over. So just something was missing here for me. It's not a terrible movie, not a terrible way to spend an hour and 40 minutes or whatever it is. I'd give it like a C, but Yeah, need a little more spice. Need a little something. Just missing a little DEI. That's all I'm saying.
Holy shit. Oh my god.
Okay.
Wow.
Pivoting from that.
I had to
TJ,
give it
as
I know it's
a
dumb,
black
but-
man, how would you
Oh
feel
my God.
about?
I never once considered that there should be a black lead of this film. Never. I think anybody's opinion on this movie kind of goes by how do you feel about Nicolas Cage? I'll watch anything that Nicolas Cage is in. I find him very compelling. I think that he is not one note. I think he can do. He only has a couple of pitches, but he can do them all really well. Like he is not the same character as he was in his last movie. In his last movie,
Never.
he was literally just Nicolas Cage. In this movie, he's kind of something different. He's kind of like an everyman. I guess the red pill people would call him a beta. Like things are just kind of happening to him. He's kind of like really dweeby and really smart about one thing that nobody cares about, which is like he studies animals and plants or some shit. Like I don't even remember. Like it's one of those. Like nobody cares about that kind of stuff. He has an interaction.
Is it like the migration patterns of animals or something like that?
Yes, like it's like something like extremely, extremely nerdy that only
Ants?
like a biologist would care about. It's like ants, yeah. And first of all, this is one of those things where the second I saw the trailer for this movie, I said, God, I'm really mad I didn't come up with a concept as cool as that. That's just a really cool concept that I've never quite seen before. The concept of the movie being, of course, that he starts to go viral because all these people are dreaming about him. And I think it's such a smart way to write the movie to have it start off as a good thing. I want this. I seek this. He's playing it up. He walks into the classroom and they bring it up and he's like, all right, well, let's just take 5 minutes and let's talk about it. But really, like the whole class period becomes about like, what are your experiences in my dream? And he's prodding people like, did I do anything heroic in these dreams? Or like, what? Is anyone attracted to me in these dreams? And he's like, in these dreams, he's just there. He's not doing anything. He means nothing to these dreams. He just is walking by as an interloper in everybody's dreams, which to me was so cool to see play out and so cool of a concept to see how he's interacting with people when he doesn't realize that they're dreaming about him and he's having all these weird ass interactions. He doesn't really understand why. I was really into that part of the movie. Like I was very, very much in from the beginning because the concept is so cool and you get to it very fast in the movie. And then he has the meeting with Michael Cera's character, which is some of the funniest shit that I've already seen this year. Michael Cera comes on screen out of nowhere randomly 30 minutes into
I
this
forget
film,
to mention Michael Cera is in this movie, which is
and he's fucking hilarious. That scene is crazy. The scene is amazing. They're basically pitching to him of how he's going to become, like we want to market him now. You're a social media celebrity now. You're an influencer, basically. He's trying to use this influencer bag to really like write a book about ants because his idea about the book about ants was stolen. I just thought it was really, really well done. And then to flip the movie in the way that the movie is flipped, which I won't talk about, I just think it just made for such a fun ride. The kind of like the epic high that he's on, the really funny sexual moment he has, the moment where he thinks that a particular woman is trying to sleep with him. It's his ex, and he thinks like maybe she's trying to hook up, and he kind of like puts soft feelers out there to he's married, but like he inquires about, so like I thought you were attracted to me. And she just kind of like mortified by it, like, no, I'm not here because I'm attracted to you. I'm here because I've been dreaming about you. So I just thought they did a really good job building him up and watching how the going through this process changed him so immediately, and the way he immediately became like not the best person about it and became like really thinking he was special because of this thing that randomly happened to him. And all of a sudden just to kind of tear him down. I just thought it was a really smart written movie. It's short, it's snappy, it's funny. And I just love Nicolas Cage. I gave this movie an A-. I really enjoyed it. It to me felt like a perfect A24 movie. These are the kind of movies that I want A24 to make and continue to make. And I had a very good time with it.
Meanwhile, the Rockets went down like 5 and Dylan Brooks like break 2 threes in a row. So that's fun and good. Love that. Anyway, yeah. So you can tell that we're really invested in this podcast. I don't know if I can like give my review without spoiling it. Dex you said it a little bit about like they tear him down, and it's in the synopsis of he starts the dreams start becoming nightmares. That's like in the synopsis. It's actually in the trailer for a lot of this movie too, so it's not like spoiling the movie. But I thoroughly enjoyed the sort of fast pacedness of the intersplicing of the dreams and like what he's doing in the dreams and how creative the dreams were. And sometimes they were not creative. Sometimes they were banal. Sometimes they didn't make any sense at all. So and that's how the nature of dreams work. I enjoy the fact that yes, you would become the most famous person on the planet if all of a sudden everyone was having this hive mind experience. Like if all of a sudden Dex was just present in everyone's dreams every night, that would make sense that you would become the most famous person in the world. But it is.
Can you imagine our podcast after Dex became everybody's dream? Those numbers, we would go crazy. We would be going crazy.
They have horrible takes, but I just have to see what his life is like.
I just show people's dreams talking about Florence Pugh.
So Rami Malek really shouldn't have won that Oscar if we're being completely honest. He didn't even fucking sing.
They gave him an award for ew.
No, I think that part is really interesting. Dex, you mentioned like if they changed this or this and made the messaging about something different than what it ended up becoming, then you would have appreciated more. I'm with you, other than like I don't even want the messaging. Can we like this movie is so much more interesting to me if it's about, and we have 1,000 movies like this, but I do find this interesting if it's about like the hive mind mentality and like what that is, if it's about what the nature of dreams, if it goes a little bit deeper into like the psychosis of all of that, if it goes a little bit deeper instead of this person becomes I guess this is a spoiler, this person becomes canceled basically. And I don't want to like litigate the cancel culture thing, but it does feel like this guy had something. Hell yeah, Jabari Smith nailed a 3-pointer to go up 111-109. So anyway,
let's go.
Anyway, as I was making a salient point, I will say this. I don't care about the whole this filmmakers making movies about, hey, this is what our society does to people. There have been better movies that have done this before.
That's not fair because Tar exists, and Tar is literally about a woman who gets canceled.
It's a better movie than this.
Well, it's a better movie than everything.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like there have been things that have done this better than like it just used that cool concept that we all, I think, agreed liked, just to be like, hey, isn't it shitty that sometimes we tear people down? And you're like, yeah, man.
Yeah, we know, dude.
We know.
What else?
We know. And what else are you trying to tell? Like, yeah, sometimes people are run off the internet. And that's probably a bad thing for stuff that they didn't do. I don't know where it just depends. It really depends. But there's no really like nuance there. It's like he did something that he has no control over really within the context of the movie, that these things start to become nightmares. He has no control over that other than stuff sort of starts to happen in his personal life that would sort of inform why the dreams start turning bad. But yeah, he has no control over that really. And then they run him off. And so there's no nuance in that he did something wrong. We know he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't have control over this thing. There's no nuance there. Where with Tar, there's a little nuance. Yeah, well, with Tar, there's a little nuance in that, yeah, she was fucking around with people that she had a higher station over. And we know that that's not a good thing for a multitude of reasons. Like, I'm not saying I need it like spelled out for me, or because I think the audiences are smarter than that. I'm just saying I don't necessarily care about the end result of this. And yeah, like Dex said, it does kind of happen to a ho-hum guy. While I like the Cage performance, I think it's just like no one does this. No one takes the chances that Nicolas Cage takes on a regular basis of just like, hey, be a normal guy. And he's just like, oh well, I'll do this voice. And he just kind of like, yeah, no, okay. And he does that thing. And I just think
Nicolas
that
Cage is very good.
thank you. And he's just like I just think that like his performances, he takes chances that no working actor really likes to take, and I appreciate him for that. That being said, yeah, Dex is like, why do I give a shit about this guy? Because it's Nicolas
Yeah,
Cage,
and like
I
the Tar
guess.
comparison is a perfect one because in Tar, the movie literally starts by them sitting you down and being like, "This is the GOAT." Like she is
Yeah.
her. This is the greatest musician alive right now. Like you've heard of Beethoven, you heard of Bach. This is Tar. She's better than all those dudes. They're bums. Like this is the most compelling person you've ever heard of in your life. Like literally. And then this movie is just like he's a professor. No one really gives a shit about his class. His class is very boring, and he just happens to show up in people's dreams. Like this could happen to anyone. It doesn't feel like any sort of a real loss. Like when he starts losing things in his life, it's like
Right.
your wife kind of sucks. Like doesn't seem like anyone likes your wife anyway. Like you
Doesn't seem like your wife actually likes you
your wife
until
doesn't
y'all
actually
are
like
together.
you. Like the school you work at, I mean, it's not a real school. We don't know anything about it, but it doesn't seem like particularly special. It's not like you lost.
It
Like
seems
you're
like a
Harvard
community
professor.
college, which I'm not knocking, but like that's what it seems like his station in life is, that he's at the local community college, right?
Yeah, and like maybe that's the point, is that the internet makes famous people out of random nobodies, but like that's not an interesting point. I don't care. Like, just because it's your point doesn't mean it's good and compelling cinema.
What did you rate it? What did you give it, Jordan?
I don't know. I think I'm probably at a B minus, just because I think the concept is so cool and Nicolas Cage is like just inherently compelling. But again, I don't think I'm really going to ever go back to this movie. And for reasons that like just the bits weren't good enough for me to like, the comedy wasn't great enough for me to go back and go, yeah, that was the funniest thing that I saw, other than him, spoiler alert, coming in his pants, which was hilarious.
And farting at the same time.
Oh yeah,
just
yeah,
incredible
that was
work.
hilarious.
Incredible work.
Shitting and
also,
farting and coming. Yeah,
it was also hilarious when in the first meeting they wanted to like set him up with Obama. Like you maybe we'll put you in a room with Obama, and then in the second after things start going bad, they tell him that he can be
like
on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And Tucker Carlson.
Right.
I was laughing. I had to pause the movie. I was laughing hysterically when they said that. That was incredible work.
Like some of the social commentary is good. I'm not trying to take that away from it, but I will say that like, I don't know. I just think that besides Tar, which we've said a lot on this, but I'm kind of just over artists being like, we can't make art anymore.
Yeah, it's like just you're doing it. Just do it.
I just think we're just post, and maybe we're not. Maybe like somebody's gonna get run off the internet tomorrow, and I'm gonna look like I have egg on my face. But I just think that like Dex, you say this all the time. Nobody's actually really canceled. There's been like 2 people on the planet that have actually been canceled.
Yeah, it's very hard to be canceled. Like
I go the other way on this. I want more art about cancellation. I think it's such a fascinating concept.
I thought you were about to say you want more people canceled.
No. I mean, yes. I mean that there are some other people that are out there that are remaining that if they got canceled, I wouldn't be too mad about it. But no, I mean, like I like art about cancellation, Cancellation is only going to become a bigger deal in our society as we live more online and more people have access to the things that we say, think, and do. So we're only going to have more cancellations. And I agree that people are not really quote unquote canceled. There are very few people who are not outright criminals that actually have any like real life effects that happen. But by the same token, it is a fascinating concept to play with the fact of we as a society determine for whatever the reasons might be that we love or hate someone, and our passions are so high that people will treat you a certain way outside, as you navigate your life. I find that to be a very fascinating concept, and I don't think that he got canceled for doing nothing wrong. He didn't do anything that we think he should be canceled for, but that's because we are following the story from his perspective. So we know he didn't actually punch that woman in the face. We know that it was an accident, but what he got canceled for was for punching a woman in the face. Like when the last interaction happens, he punched a woman in the face, and he was murdering everybody in their dreams. So they saw somebody that already had violent thoughts about literally do something violent towards a woman. Now we know that it was all a misunderstanding, and a funny amount of circumstances led him to where he did. But also, I think the most poignant point that I took away from it is that this is not a bad person that we're treating this way. He's also not necessarily a good person. He's just a person. And due to the circumstances, he's being treated in a way that he had no control of, but it goes the other way too. His ascent to fame was also something he had no control of. So for me, that made it like deep enough to be an A24 movie, if that makes any sense. And I'm not saying it's the deepest movie ever, but I never felt like it was like shallow on the inside of the writing. I never felt like that. I always felt like there's at least a backbone of a story here and a backbone of here's what we're trying to say without being too heavy-handed and coming from like a conservative standpoint of like you're canceling all of us because of who we are. I don't want to see any movies about conservatives being canceled and or silenced. I don't want to see any of that shit. But if it's an everyman general person, I'm all for that. It's no Tar. No movie is going to affect me the way that Tar did. The way that hearing that music in the movie theater made me feel. I don't think anything can evoke that feeling for me ever again. So I like the Tar comparison because of topic, but they're not even in the same. As somebody who really liked the movie,
they're not
even in the same realm. They're not even in the same realm.
No,
just in terms of quality, like
yeah,
Tar is real cinema that everybody should watch.
I do find it interesting the messaging of like the people that immediately start to like run him off are his students, and the people and it's just Gen Z just like runs him off. And the people that tolerate him kind of like around but sort of gradually push him out to pasture are his peers, and like people like, oh, you can't really like, you need to like leave this dinner party. They don't really like come out and say it. They're all kind of like chicken shit about like, you can watch your daughter's recital on a link that we will provide you, but you cannot show up to this thing because you make other people uncomfortable. But Gen Z's like, get the fuck out of here, loser. Which, I find that
from
messaging.
A full class to of people who weren't even his students to literally the next time we saw him walk into that classroom, there were like 2 people in that classroom. That is an easy gag, but it made me laugh so much because of how drastic his days were. Between the good days, he's got hot co-eds that want to sleep with him, or she wants to reenact his dream with him, and he's like, I'm gonna go fuck this little co-ed. To like literally people are spitting on him and throwing rocks at him. It's like it's like a layup, but the concept is so good that I didn't mind the fact that we take easy steps to get to the end of our movie. I didn't mind that
at all. I will say,
saying, man, if you take the good parts of this movie and you take the great parts of American Fiction, that's a Best Picture winner right there.
You know what? Talking about how like, that's an even better example, Dex, of like how we deal with celebrity. That was dealing with like race and celebrity. This is just dealing with like outright, I think, fame on a different scale. I do find that pairing of movies very interesting this year, of like what these two filmmakers decided they were going to say about fame from one perspective or the other. Obviously, Cord Jefferson has a place where he's wanting to come from as an African American, wanting to like tell that experience, and this person wants to tell a completely different story. But that is an interesting that would be an interesting double feature.
Yeah, there's something
agree with
there.
that.
I was like mostly joking when I said it, but now that I'm like really thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, these two movies are kind of in conversation. Yeah, I feel like they're the point. I don't remember the director of this film's name. I don't think it was a name that I knew beforehand, so I don't remember it now. But I feel like he's making a point about it doesn't even feel like cancellation, like really, because it's more of like a milkshake duck. Like they just found out about this guy and then immediately we're like, oh no, he's murdered, the duck is murdering people. Like, but there's something there about like, fame and popularity and how people treat you and what people expect from famous people, and everyone loves him when they think he's just a regular old dude who doesn't do anything and he's just in people's dreams or whatever, and then he becomes a more active like part of people's dreams. And we can debate which one is more actually like him. Maybe they're both him, whatever. But as some of the negative parts of his personality start to come out, people hate him and like reject him from society. And like American Fiction is kind of speaking towards the same things. Monk is a nerd no one really gives a fuck about. And then he starts to become a little angrier. He starts to become a little more I guess expressive of himself, and people start to kind of reject him. So yeah, I mean, this movie could have been really, really interesting to me. It just wasn't. Something about Nicolas Cage and the way they set up the character in the first half of the movie just kind of turned me off and made me uninterested in the second half of the movie. Like he's just so flat, so painfully boring. And like I mentioned in the group text, like at first this movie feels like an episode of Frasier if Frasier wasn't as funny. And like just imagine like making this an episode of Frasier where it's fucking Frasier Crane being the rich nerd asshole that he is. It's like, Ross, it's the darndest thing. I just keep showing up in people's dreams. I don't know what's going on. And like you start doing fucking bits with him and Niles, and then like you get some resolution and then it's over in 30 minutes. That's fucking great. But this like hour 40-minute Frasier sketch that kind of descended into madness wasn't really for me.
I don't know. I'm just way more interested. Also, I text you. It's like, man who has only seen one movie. This is giving me Boss Baby vibes.
Yeah.
Because that's your
I
only
can name
show
exactly one media property where like the main character is a therapist.
is a nerd. No, I don't know if y'all or you probably don't agree, because you seem to have you seem to have liked the thoughts about what this all means in the grand scheme of culture. But I really wish this would have explored more about what dreams mean. And I guess he didn't have that on his mind when he wrote the movie. Obviously, this isn't Christopher Nolan trying to explain like why time goes slow in your dreams. So obviously that's not the movie we're going to get. I just feel like deep down there's something in there that if somebody took this concept and went in the opposite direction with it, it was like explaining the why and the how. I think I would have enjoyed that movie a lot more. Now it could probably get way too convoluted and make no sense, but
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
actually kind of interested in that.
Yeah, I was worried about that because I didn't like watch any trailers to really know what this movie was about before I turned it on. But like once I figured out, oh, he's showing up in everyone's dreams, I was like, the explanation for this is probably going to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But there just wasn't an explanation for it, really. I mean, there kind of was, but not really.
What do we think about at the very end? And then I think we can wrap up this movie. What do you think about at the very end, the Gen Z being able to then harness that power? And then I kind of hated this, to be honest with you, because it was like, hey, remember how like YouTube tries to sell you ads on top of ads now? Like that's what it became. And I'm like, okay, sure. There's 1,000 things about this as well too. The Gen Z like TikTok house, the hype house.
They have a machine now that could be
infiltrate
like in your dreams, and
they
they could give ads to your dreams and let you have you get to pick your dreams. And so then they could put ads in the dream. So it's basically open up a new like advertising space, which might be the most valuable advertising space ever. I felt true to form. It felt like, yeah, that would be the natural place that we would go if this actually happened to everyone at the same time. The companies would get greedy and try to monetize it. That's, of course, what would happen. So it felt true to form to me.
Dex, you have any thoughts on that?
I thought the Dreamhouse thing was a funny bit. It just didn't like
make sense in the movie.
Yeah, it's like, okay, like it just felt like extra commentary, like an extra thing you wanted to be mad about versus like something that actually fit or made any sense in the movie. And like, I guess the end of this movie is also frustrating to me because it just kind of ends and that's it. But like, I guess the hype house or dream house thing is like a vessel for that to happen. I guess you had to have that, but yeah, I just would have gone a different direction with this movie. I feel like that's like kind of what my keeps coming back to. There's like that tweet about Oppenheimer where people complain about Oppenheimer, but like what they want is a different movie that's not called Oppenheimer. It's right. Like I just want a different movie. Like I came in here wanting something different from this director, something he was not trying to do, and like
actually, I want Inception. Can we watch Inception again?
Yeah, I just wanted a different movie.
I will say though, Tej, I do agree that the Michael Cera thing, like I was not expecting a wild Michael Cera to appear in this film. And when he popped up like a Pokemon, I was like, oh shit, I know that guy.
The director's name is Christopher Borgli. Christopher with a K. Maybe it's Christopher Borgli.
It's probably Chris. Yeah, you know what? Sure.
It's got 2 F's in it, so maybe it's Christopher.
Let's see. He did Sick of Myself, which is his kind of directorial debut, which has good ratings and reviews. So I think that's also on Hulu. No, Paramount.
I will say I didn't care about the storyline with his wife when they have that moment at the end. They've gotten divorced or whatever, and they have that moment at the end, and they're like, I wish it could have been. I didn't care about that at all. They didn't do anything to make me invested in that relationship between his wife at all. So I was like, I didn't need this moment. But it's not a long moment, but I was like, I didn't need
this. She sucks. I don't want you to get her back.
I don't think longing for want the other one back.
Rockets win, bitch. 10 in a row.
Turn the shit up. Jalen Green, you can do whatever the hell you want out here with consent. You are the greatest. Get more women pregnant. Fuck it. We up 10 games in a row. Jalen Green is him. Barry is him. The Rockets are him. That's 10 in a row, guys.
Dylan Brooks went fucking nuts in overtime. I think he hit like 2 threes and I think he had a goaltending. But yeah, anyway, Rockets 10 in a row. We're up. Anyway, this is now a Rockets podcast, by the way, for those of you watching. If only the Orlando Magic could have some act right and
be
learn
useful just one time in your franchise history. One time.
Jimmy Butler calling in sick, my ass. All right. Anyway, the funniest thing that they bit that I keep coming back to in this movie before we move on, Tej, is, well, what about Sprite? You said we could get Obama. Anyway, so I don't know what you want to do for this, Tej. Dex and I are going to talk about All of Us Strangers. If you want to stick around, feel free.
No, I want to actually experience this film, so I'll listen to this episode like the rest of our fans. But
here, come back in. We'll text you. Come back in 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
I just want to say what I'm watching because I'm probably not going to jump back in.
Okay, cool.
I'm watching X-Men. X-Men is fucking perfect. I know Dex doesn't care about TV. X-Men is back. That shit is crazy. The MCU is back up. The X-Men is phenomenal. Shogun, still phenomenal. Still having a great time with that. Invincible, I know people kind of fell off because of the break. The break sucks, but Invincible is back. We are back up animated television. Dex, you're missing up. Those are the things that I'm watching.
Yeah, did we ever find out why that X-Men writer was fired? Because everybody fucking loves this show.
Yeah, there was some personal matter went on. I think they kept it pretty quiet because nobody knows who this guy is. But it wasn't because of the show is great. The show is perfect. The feeling is being restored. If you're not tapped into X-Men, get tapped into X-Men now. It is so good.
I walked into work today, first thing in the morning, my coworker's talking about X-Men 97. I was like, what is happening right now?
That I will say this about that show, and I think it explains a lot because like we would have watched it on the original X-Men cartoon on reruns on like the WB, but Dex and I are just that age that we would have watched the reruns. It's folks about your age, Siege, that are like it means that much. It means so much to
It
I
really
think
does.
35 and up instead
It
of
does.
30 and down.
They've
And
restored the
so
feeling.
we're just like in between where we needed to be for us to give that much of a shit about the show. I'll probably check it out, but like sure, okay.
You're gonna love it. Big X-Men hours are back. The X-Men are in the MCU, and everything is fine. And even though the MCU has had some ups and downs, the silver bullet is here. They can't miss with the X-Men. They literally cannot miss. The movies are gonna go
Yeah.
crazy. Wolverine is coming back to the Deadpool movie. We are back, guys. The MCU is back. Our Mars overlords are back up.
They were playing around. They were playing with their food a little bit. Like they were like, "Oh, we don't need to do the X-Men right now. They'll eat off of Shang-Chi. They'll eat off the Eternals. We don't need to worry about bringing the X-Men right now." Nah,
Fantastic
man,
Four.
hit the button. Hit the
Them
button,
eat
brother.
off the Eternals was a nasty gamble, a very nasty gamble.
Hit the goddamn button. The X-Men are back. Let's go.
Thunderbolts is actually filming
Thunderbolts,
for like the
Florence Pugh,
18th month in a
getting
row.
work. Our girl stays on a set, being booked and busy. We support Florence Pugh, and we will be there for Thunderbirds. We will be there.
Yeah, she shared some behind the scenes footage, which I'm sure she'll get clipped by the mouse, but you know, we never really know. All right, Tej. Thank you so much.
All right, support Florence Pugh.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Godzilla hour soon. I will return.
All right. We'll get you in here. Dex, you and I are going to talk about something I think we're supremely qualified to talk about.
There have never been two people more qualified.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, I don't know why it would be weird. We're going to talk about All of Us Strangers on Hulu. So thank you so much for the people that are actually just sticking around to watch. We really appreciate that. But so we're going to talk about All of Us Strangers. It came out a while ago, and then
kind of,
but no, not on Hulu. It came out a while ago, overseas. It played at a festival, I believe, like Sundance or something like that, and then, just kind of went away. They shelved it for like half the year
because everyone loved it.
Right. It was like one of the best reviewed movies of the year. It went into oblivion. It wasn't going to premiere. It didn't premiere in the United States until like Christmas, and then they showed it in like 15 movie theaters. It's a British production. They didn't release it in Great Britain until January. Anyway, and then it just missed out. It got nominated for all these BAFTAs, but then completely missed out on all the Oscar nominations, which I kind of contend that this wouldn't have been really challenging for a lot of Oscars anyway. But there's some performances in here that I think would have gotten a little bit more recognition if they would have been up for, if Searchlight was just like, yeah, we'll put the movie out. That'd be great. So All of Us Strangers. Let's see. Rated R, 2023 movie, 7.8 on IMDb. A screenwriter drawn back to his childhood home enters into a fledgling relationship with his downstairs neighbor while discovering a mysterious new way to heal from losing his parents 30 years ago. Written and directed by Andrew Haig, based on I believe a novel by Tachi Yamada. Has a 90 Metacritic score on Metacritic. Nominated for six BAFTAs. Again, just lost out on all Oscar or Golden Globes recognition because nobody fucking saw it.
Was it nominated for like any of the major American award shows, like SAG or Golden Globes or anything?
My computer's being weird. I'll try to tell you here in a second. Okay, so BAFTA, Critics' Choice, Best Adapted Screenplay, Golden Globes. Okay, Andrew Scott got a Golden Globe nomination.
Okay.
So
So yeah, I mean, maybe its prospects
and-
weren't that great anyway.
Yeah, Independent Spirit Award, Best Feature, Best Lead Performance, Best Director, and all the other Critics Choice Awards from every other place and on the planet, like Denver Films Critics Society. So again, I don't know if it made a ton of money. It stars Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal, continuing to put projects out there, continuing to get reps up. You know what I mean? Before Gladiator. Jamie Bell and Claire Foy are the recognizable faces. Really, it's basically just them in the movie.
Claire Floyd, distractingly British. There's never been a more British woman.
Always has been, 18 million. She's kind of stuck playing the queen to me, to be completely honest. I can't get over it. I watched both seasons of her running the crown, and I'm like, that's just the queen, So 18 million at the box office. So for a small budget production, I think it did okay. Let's see what its numbers are on the tomato meter. 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, 91% on the audience score. All of the Strangers examines profound grief and love through a fantastical lens that is always grounded on human emotion. So I'm interested to see what you thought about this, because like I said early on in the podcast, I liked this movie. I don't know how much I enjoyed it, is the weird thing to say, because once you kind of get into what it's really about, it's tough. It's a tough hang. But go ahead. I don't have much to say. I do, but
I think the movie is good. I don't think I like it.
Okay.
That makes sense. Like, I think the movie is well made, and like it brings up a lot of really compelling stuff, honestly. Like, there's a lot of like, obviously, like trauma that's unpacked here, and like a lot of like interesting questions are raised, right? Like, I don't know how much we want to get into like the plot of the movie or like what it's like.
Let's just go ahead here. If you don't want to have all the Strangers spoiled for you, which I don't know why you'd be listening to our review 30 years after it's come out on Hulu without having watched the movie, turn off and we'll see you later. We'll see you for Godzilla versus Kong. Come back to us when you've seen the movie. But I will say, all spoilers throughout here, because it's kind of an impossible movie not to spoil. It's also in the trailers with what happens, but continue.
Yeah, not a lot happens that isn't like kind of spoilery. But so yeah, like Andrew Scott's parents, I don't remember what his name is in this movie. The main character guy, his parents died when he was 12.
Adam.
Yeah. Yeah, his parents died when he was 12. He like goes back to his childhood home and has visions of them. And that brings up a lot of like really interesting stuff, right? Like, it's really compelling to kind of see someone basically like work through therapy. Like, what would your parents have thought of you if they knew you were gay? Did they know you were gay? Would they have cared? Would they have still loved you anyway? Could you have worked through it? Watching someone kind of work through that with their parents, but their parents are dead, so they're working through it by themselves. Like, that's very interesting. There's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot of, like, I can't relate to that personally. Like, I'm not gay, my parents are alive, but like,
not gay, my parents are alive.
But that's a really cool concept, and like, it is more relatable than you would think. Like, I was talking to one of my coworkers about it today, and that's literally his life. Like, his parents died when he was 13, and he is gay, so he like was watching it and was like, I feel personally attacked. Like, to make this movie.
Oh my god, Jesus! That's crazy.
It might have just been his mom, not both of his parents, but either way. So yeah, it feels very tangible in that way, and the ending of it is just like, it's a twist, kind of. It's not really a twist, but it's also like emotionally, like, it just hits you. It's one of those like standard, like, emotionally manipulative movie moments that you're just like, damn, man, why?
Right.
Literally, like, I was live tweeting watching this movie I tweeted that business picked up, and Royden was like, "Boy, does it ever!" And then I got to the point where the thing happens, and I was like, "God damn it!" Literally, just God damn it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's good, and I think it does a lot of really good things. I think the performances are excellent, right, all around. It's- I especially was moved by Claire Foy. I feel like they gave her a lot to do, which I wasn't really expecting.
Well, see, I was moved
Um,
by Jamie Bell, but maybe that's like a father and son thing. But anyway,
yeah, both of the parents, they were great.
yeah.
But yeah, for whatever reason, Claire Foy just stuck out more to me. But um, yeah, so I think this movie is really good, but it's such a tough hang. It's like the on top of being heavy, it starts out pretty slow. Like they
Hmm.
take a little minute to get into like the parent stuff. Um like the first 15 minutes of this movie, I was like about to fall asleep. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna finish this shit. So I kind of like deduct points from it there. And like I said, there's not a whole lot that actually like happens in this movie. It's like it's all in the concept. It's all pretty like weighty, heady stuff. But I do think it's good. I think I give it like a B plus is where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I might even go A minus, but I deduct some points for just the I see dead people of it all.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
the kind of twists at the end take a little bit. It becomes way more. I mean, it literally does at the very end. Becomes way more galactic than you think that it's supposed to, and it sort of becomes more supernatural. I mean, the whole thing's supernatural, but I think it's more supernatural than it wanted to be in the beginning. I think I think just the concept of like, oh, either it's just this house or something is happening. Just explaining the premise of it, like something is happening that I can't explain. I think that premise is like really good. The I'm going crazy or I have a superpower premise is like kind of bullshit to me a little bit. And it takes the he's just going crazy turn just when things start to really ramp up with healing with his parents. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Mhm.
Um, in the intermediate, there's some really good interplay, of course, between Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal. I think they have great chemistry, obviously, for reasons that become apparent in the film. Whoo, brother. And they they wrote that all in for the fan cams, by the way. But I think that they have really good chemistry. I think the interplay between again Claire Foy and the family dynamic with him and Jamie Bell, finally getting something to do in a movie. I love when we get to have Jamie Bell in movies for more than 5 minutes. But like him getting to do stuff in the movie, the interplay I think between in him and his dad having the conversation about I'm sorry I didn't come in your room when I was crying. What when you were crying broke my fucking heart, man. I was like
Yeah,
that is like unresolved trauma that I know it's emotionally manipulative a little bit because like anybody that's ever had problems with their father, I guess they'll put that in a movie. But I think I just thought it worked. I thought it was really, really good. I thought having the awkward conversations with Claire Foy about what she doesn't understand about being gay, especially because she died in like the 1980s, you know,
yeah,
right before the AIDS epidemic, I believe, in the context of this film, like really erupted. Like, and she's worried about that stuff, and she's like,
yeah. She
she
like knew
doesn't.
of it, but not really knew much about it. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
she didn't. They don't know how to react, but they're trying to figure it out. But yeah, they're dead, and I do like your read on the movie in that like he's figuring it out on his own, but with the help of his psychosis, which is a kind of interesting. I I liked all of that, obviously. I just think when it starts to become like super supernatural, like I said, I see dead people sixth sense sort of thing, it loses its steam for me a little bit. Um So much so to the point where it's like Paul Mescal comes with him to their house and they won't let him in because he's like from the outside. I don't know. I
Yeah,
guess have you
and
already
like he
spoiled
sees
it?
like we've already kind of spoiled it.
Well,
We see
he's
like
already like a ghost and like,
yeah,
it anyway.
It's like Paul Mescal is a ghost. Andrew, what's his name? Andrew, whatever, is knocking on the window,
Yeah.
looking at another ghost, a ghost of a ghost. It's like,
Yeah.
it's very, very confusing. And to be honest, like the Paul Mescal thing at the end, like him already being dead, it hits emotionally, but it's like it feels unnecessary and like a little mean spirited, honestly. Like, it's
Right. Like this guy can't have shit.
yeah, it's like you thought you were healed. You thought you were in an emotionally happy, healthy relationship now, and you were, you got your dead parents' blessing, and you were just gonna go on with your life. Nah, dude's already dead. Suck. Like,
Yeah, missed opportunities, missed chances sort of thing, but on top of that it's just it is it's heavy. It's just really a really heavy film that like I said, I enjoy every performance in this movie, but I don't know. I guess if I need a good cry, I'll fire up the Jamie Bell scene. Uh, or like when they're talking about when they're laying in the bed talking to each other.
yeah,
I'll fire that one up if I need to get something out. But I just I don't know when I'll revisit this one for sure.
I do not think that I will revisit this movie in full ever again. Because yeah, it's a tough hang, and just knowing that the sadness is like more sadness is what's around the corner at the end. It's like I don't want to sign up for that full ride again. Like,
Yeah, what do you think about all like how supernatural that it actually does turn at the very end? Like where just to spoil the end of the
they
movie,
like become a star.
Paul Mescal's been dead the whole time, and they work through it basically like they work through their trauma together of him being dead by cuddling, and then they become a star at the very end. But I'm talking about mostly the supernaturalness of it, like he's just been seeing ghosts the entire time basically, but he doesn't really interact with anybody outside of these people, so you don't get to
Yeah,
see him like talking to himself. There's no focus from the outside in. It's just him out.
yeah, and that's kind of where it lost me because it's like what is actually happening, right? Like, does this guy live in an apartment complex entirely by himself? Like, because you're watching the beginning of the movie, it's like just Paul Mescal and Andrew, whatever his name is, live in this
Andrew
apartment
Scott,
building.
yeah.
Andrew Scott live in this apartment building. No one else is there. So is it just him and a dead body for like a few weeks, or like what are we doing? Is he walking around talking to himself? Is he just at this empty house, just sitting there in a bedroom, like, or what's they didn't do it. I don't think they did a good enough job of like grounding it in reality or really explaining what reality is. Maybe that's their point, but
Yeah,
I
maybe
feel
they
like
weren't trying to. I don't know. Your reality is what you make it, I guess. But
it's like I would prefer a movie where it's like, okay, like, yeah, they've been dead this whole time, but like this is what that actually means in practice. Like, and then yeah, the scene where uh Andrew Scott takes Paul Mescal to his parents' house and is like trying to have him meet his parents and he can't go inside or whatever. All of that kind of went over my head. That kind of lost me a little bit because it's like, why why is your mom, who we already know is dead, why is she now like a scary ghost thing? Like,
yeah,
what
I
is
got a
the
little like frightened by that whole thing. It becomes
yeah, I was
really
like,
kind of frightening at a certain point.
yeah, why is that happening? What is that for? What does that mean? I don't get that. So yeah, this it feels like they got a little lost in the sauce, a little, or maybe I did. I don't know. Somebody was lost in some sauce, and they could have dialed it back a touch on the supernaturalness.
Yeah, I just think I also think not to say that like the relationship between Mezcal and Scott isn't necessary because it really starts to like help him actually heal, quote unquote, from this trauma. It allows him to start having conversations that he wasn't going to have with his parents that are, dead. There's also a point like where they go to an American, I will say so, but I don't necessarily like, I would rather have more time with the parents, him and the parents, than like supplementing that time with splitting that time to he and Paul Mezcal. That's just
especially
me.
because like it doesn't like
It doesn't
go
really
anywhere.
go anywhere. Yeah. But I will say that it's like, it becomes also supernatural. Like when they go to like an American restaurant, this is the only moment that it was like, it was grounded where he's literally crying at a booth at an American style restaurant in the fucking mall over like a ice cream sundae or whatever by himself. And like they don't really show the waitress, but I just have to imagine she's like, "Are you good?" That's the only time it was really sort of like he's on the subway. It's like my whole thing is, and maybe he didn't want to explain it. The writer director, maybe it's not worth explaining to him here. The themes that he's trying to explore are way more what he wants to do with the nature of grief and so on and so forth. But is he crazy? Like, is maybe that doesn't matter? But to me, I'm sitting there going like, okay, so is this guy nuts? Because he kind of like goes nuts in the club a little bit, takes like mescaline or whatever, and
Yeah, it's like
I don't know.
he's just in a bathroom on ketamine by himself, or
Ketamine, yeah.
like, are we just it's like yeah, what is happening? Obviously, like Paul's been dead this entire time. He like I don't know. He talked to Paul once, I guess, and
Barely. He like shut him out of his apartment.
yeah, and it's like why has this like not even a memory, like it's not like this person, why has this like ghost been following you around for however long this movie takes? I don't know like what kind of time we're working with. I guess a week or so. Like I don't like they could have definitely connected a lot better for me. Maybe that's just me being a dumb movie boy who wants things explained to me and wants a happy ending, but like I'd be giving it a higher grade right now if things were explained to me and I had a happy ending.
But you're right. I will say, and we'll kind of wrap up here. And you're right in saying that this film, hopefully, and maybe we don't know from the LGBTQ plus perspective, like, but hopefully this will probably connect with a lot of people. And like you said, your coworker was like, "This is a targeted ad. Like that's not fair." But hopefully this will connect with a lot of people. And I believe Andrew Scott has said as much as like being able to work through some of those traumas. Andrew Scott is gay in real life, and so felt kind of like a passion project for him to like make this film. But I think that like it is interesting and conversations that are still worth having, even in the year of our Lord 2024, of unresolved trauma that we still have to work through as a society with these conversations. And I really think that was worth exploring with the movie. And they did a lot of that. And I really appreciated that. But even if you're not gay or a man or, what have you, it really will touch home with appreciating hopefully what you have with your family while you
For
have it.
sure.
And I really appreciated that as well. And I think you can get something out of this movie when it comes to that.
Yeah, and I think it's also just interesting to like just asking the question. Like everyone, not everyone, but most people, like when a family member or a loved one passes away early on, they're like, your mom would be so proud of you, your dad would be so proud of you, blah blah blah. It's like, what if you don't know that? What if you
Yeah.
don't know that they would be proud of you? Like, I think that's an interesting question to ask, and I'm glad it was asked. And I think this movie did a really cool job of exploring that. But yeah, they kind of tightened up a few things to really make this like truly like an Oscar contender, like Oscar winner. Like if they
and the
like,
reason,
just turn that knob a little more.
yeah, and the reason I said when we first spoke about it a few weeks ago about like what my initial thoughts were on it, and I kind of realized why the Oscars would prefer something like, let's just say, like a more tuned down drama like Past Lives, and they didn't even really prefer Past Lives because it got only nominated for 2 awards, as opposed to this. I think it got a little too wonky, which is weird to say because Poor Things just won a billion Oscars. But you know what I mean? For a tuned down drama, Poor Things is like big and bold and brash. Like it never pretends not to be. This is like a family drama that all of a sudden becomes galactic. And I think that probably threw a lot of people for a loop, and they didn't know how to take it.
And yeah, you can definitely see why this movie has like a super high Rotten Tomatoes score, even if we're both just kind of like, I don't know, because it's like you come away from it being like, yeah,
Affected.
positive, like
Yeah.
it's fresh, but it ain't like it's not a love. It's like I liked it. I enjoyed parts of it. It's getting a positive score for me, but it's not like I wouldn't call it one of the best movies of last year by any means. Like it's good, but it's not great.
I'm glad they made it. I wish I would have been able to experience it with more people in the theaters instead of like crying a single tear on my couch at like 2 a.m.
Right.
That's my thoughts. I wish they would have put it out in theaters. Anyway, that has been Dream Scenario and All the Strangers. Dex, what are you watching?
What am I watching other than these
That
two
is
movies? I'm watching the Houston Rockets win 10 games in a row. That's been amazing.
hell yeah, brother.
Feels good to be back. Shit, what am I watching? Have I been watching anything? We're on the road to WrestleMania. We're almost there. We've like 8
So
games
much
in a row.
wrestling. There's so many wrestling tweets on my timeline.
So look, man, you just gotta roll with it. It's
So many wrestling tweets.
people become experts on college basketball during March Madness. People become experts on wrestling during the road to WrestleMania. It just is what it is. You just gotta ride it out. We're here.
Yeah. I feel like you know how Aaron will get on Twitter and be like, "What the fuck are y'all talking about when sports is on?" or
Mhm.
whatever. That's how I feel about wrestling. I'm so in the weeds when it comes to that. Like, I recognize the names, but I'm really doing a sports ball right now where I'm like, "Oh yay," you know.
Especially now where it's like The Rock came back. Like, it's
Right.
like it sounds
I,
like, something you've heard before.
yeah. I understand your references, kind sir. No, I watched Dune 2 Electric Boogaloo again.
Oh yeah,
took
brother.
took Caitlin to see it. We got out of it and she said it was good. That was her
Oh.
review.
Oh.
Exactly. So, I did the have you seen the meme of tell your boyfriend that you watched Dune Part 2 on your phone?
No, I haven't, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, there's like that. It's like get your boyfriend's reaction to telling him you watched Dune 1 on your iPad or whatever. And the reactions are hilarious. But I felt like the boyfriend in those memes, there was like, "What do you mean just good?" She's like, "It's pretty to look at." She didn't understand it, which is completely. It's like she just didn't get what was happening, and I totally get it because if I had gone 2 years without watching the first one again, like I did, I get why it might as well be algebra. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I guess that
Although
does hurt my theory.
millions of people know
You
how to
don't
do
need Dune
algebra,
1.
so I don't know. It's like reading a foreign language, really, actually. But I will say this: I have to make an addendum to the Dune 2 podcast that we did a few weeks ago,
Mhm.
where I said like I wasn't completely aware of that they were going to go do a holy war or what I think I might have said what the purpose of the holy war was. I hope I said that because if I said just do a holy war, I didn't understand why they were going to go do a holy war. Yeah, fucking she just says it's the beginning of the holy war at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rebecca
Yeah.
Ferguson said it's the start of the Holy War. And I got on that podcast and just said, I don't know. Well, I didn't understand that they actually were going to go do a Holy War. I can't believe it. I
A
still am.
war in my name.
Yeah, exactly. I still am not quite 100% certain why he would do that or his character motivations for doing that, other than you got to get it back in blood. But like,
They don't want to kiss the ring, man. They got to pay.
yeah, I guess so. Anyway, Doom Part 2, still good. Loud as fuck. Oh my God, that movie is loud.
What a film. I'm so excited for that to win Oscars.
Yeah, exactly. No, other than that, I need to go try to get to like Late Night with the Devil and Love Lies Bleeding, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that in time.
I will make an effort.
Yeah, Love Lies Bleeding, only one showing tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to it.
Oh, I forgot to mention I did rewatch La La Land yet again. Still real cinema. Still my pick for best movie of 2016. I'm going to have to rewatch Moonlight. I remember the Moonlight is real cinema. It just ain't La La Land to me, dude. I'm sorry. La La Land is so fucking good.
I don't want to. I haven't seen Moonlight, to be completely honest with you. I didn't want to feel bad.
You
Still
haven't seen it
don't.
at all?
Nope.
Damn.
I got to watch it to be big time movie boy. I understand that, to be an Oscar completist, but I didn't want to feel bad in the time, and I still kind of don't want to feel bad.
I am by no means an Oscar completist, but I was friends with like every gay kid at Baylor, so I ended up watching Moonlight like 3 different times like when it came out, and I haven't watched it since. Like, and when I say I was friends with like every gay kid at Baylor, I mean that like my closest group of friends all started like the gay club at Baylor that was very controversial. So
Oh,
like, yeah,
all of
we
them.
watched a lot of Moonlight.
That's incredible.
But I haven't revisited since I was either junior or senior in college. I don't remember what year that came out, but or what point in the year that came out. But yeah, it's good. But I'm a sucker for romance and musicals and Emma Stone. Moonlight
That
just
film,
ain't got that.
I'm not gonna besmirch you for. There's a lot of like La La Land is actually bad talk going on right now, and I won't have that.
I will not have it. That is a lie
Um,
from the devil.
La La Land's not as good as like Babylon, and I'm just kind of like, shut up.
Oh, that's so stupid.
Yeah,
As someone who is in the Babylon Hive, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
yeah. Anyway, I also watched Marcel the Shell with Shoes on. It's on Netflix finally.
Way better than it has any right to be.
Yeah, I watched half of it on a plane, and Caitlin was like, "Stop watching it because I want to watch it." And it finally came into Netflix like 3 years after it was released, which it would have been like the perfect Netflix movie as soon as it was released 3 years ago. Like
Yeah,
that would have just dropped on Netflix. Also, it's the perfect movie. If it would have come out in 2014, it would have been a cult classic.
for sure.
Like the YouTube video was a cult classic, but that would have been like high schoolers would have been, not shut the fuck up about that. That
It would be people's
exact period
entire
in
personality.
yeah, that exact period in time is like 2014 to, or actually like 2012 to 2016 is when that should have come out. Anyway, that and the new Roadhouse.
Yeah, I haven't seen the old Roadhouse. I haven't seen the new Roadhouse. I have no Roadhouses in me.
I had seen bits and pieces of the old Roadhouse, and people are going to get real mad at me because I'm the one that has watched older movies on this podcast. But like, and it's not. I guess it's like 40 years old at this point. But anyway, I went into the new Roadhouse expecting a Jake Gyllenhaal. I expected like ambulance, you know. But one thing that like I will give Michael Bay credit, he knows how to film a fucking movie. Like this kind of didn't look good.
Just
There's
all drunk.
CGI. Yeah, there's just like CGI all over the place in this, and none of it feels really real. None of the character motivations make any sense, and I know it doesn't have to, but even still, it's like besides one or two bar fights, I'm just kind of like, okay. It really divulges into like boat races and gunfights and stuff towards a certain point, and I'm just kind of like, you know what, I'm good, man. There was a certain time when this would have come out, it would have been fine, but I'm just like, I think also because it went straight to Amazon, I was like, don't give a shit about that. I think a lot of people are going to turn this off. I don't think it's
I'm
terrible.
not even gonna turn it on.
No, I don't think it's terrible. I just think like I didn't have that much fun with it, and that's disappointing.
Yeah,
because my barrier
for
to
those of
entry
you
is
who
really low for that.
for those of you who can't tell, but what I've been watching always being extremely short on this show now, I like don't have a ton of time to watch movies that we're not talking about, and it's like it has to be something I'm just so compelled by to like sit down and stop moving for 2 hours at home to watch whatever the fuck movie it is, and Roadhouse is just not clear that bar. It's just I don't care.
No, I completely understand. Nope, I'm good. Anyway, also Law and Order SVU, all the seasons are on Peacock, so you don't have to sit through 18 hours of commercials on USA. And that is a come home from lunch, turn it on show. Always has been for me, which is weird to say about the concept of that show, but I will watch it until the day that I die.
I've never done the Law and Orders. I did CSI for a little while, uh, but yeah, I kind of fell off that and just never picked up a new crime show to replace it. Scandal was my bag like forever
Yeah.
when Scandal was on, but yeah, like those long running crime shows, I just never really got into. I guess
Well,
I
the
got
thing
into
about
detective, but
yeah, the thing about those that like it's not on prestige, you can just like watch an episode. You don't have it doesn't matter when. Season 12, episode 8. Fuck yeah, I'm in. Like, who cares? Who are these new people? Who gives a shit? Like, you'll figure it out.
oh, I forgot I watched Bones back in the day.
Nice.
Shout out to Bones.
Yeah, network television. Great sometimes. Anyway,
Dude, I miss Netflix or network television being just the thing everyone was talking about all the time. It's like you see the new episode of fucking Law and Order. Yeah, it was great. Like, I miss when the water cooler talk was about like 7 TV channels versus
what are you,
85
1,000 years
streaming
old?
services. I am. Also, I
Although,
sit by the water cooler at work, so I have so much water cooler talk now that it's like,
ooh.
yeah, like real life, actual water cooler talk because I literally sit next to the water cooler. So it's like, you watch the new Avatar series? Absolutely not. No, go away. Like,
Once you get leave, ew. What's your go-to? Do you have a go-to like greeting or pleasantry?
honestly, no. It kind of just depends on who I'm talking to. But like my
Okay.
go-to thing to talk about is because I work at Academy, sports
And outdoors.
and the outdoors.
You got to really
So
do
yeah,
some work on
a
that
whole lot of
outdoors
March
part, I
Madness.
imagine. Yeah,
Yeah,
because you
the
really pay
outdoors
attention
books me.
to college basketball. If I know you,
Yep. Yep, I'm very, very invested. A whole lot of, how about that Caitlin Clark, huh?
I will say this, and I'm kind of on the train. I like college basketball for what it is, but I know what it is. It's not a good basketball product.
It stinks.
Oof.
It's gorp.
Ooh, boy. Yikes.
And also, like, Baylor won the men's national championship in 2021. I'm like, I never thought I'd get this far. Like, I'm good. Like,
Gravy.
what am I gonna do? Be mad they didn't win it again? Oh no. Like,
They had one in my whole life, you know?
yeah.
Anyway, all right. That has been a One Take Podcast. You can find us at One Take Podcast on Twitter, formerly known as X. It is back to being called Twitter. Check it. And Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want to find us on. Go follow us, but mostly go follow, like, and subscribe, whatever you need to do on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Leave us a 5-star review on both of those. Please and thank you. If you're watching this right now, go and do it. Even if you've never watched the show before, it's fine. It's free. Go do it. Other than that, Astros start up tomorrow. So what I want you to do is go follow us at Apollo HOU on all of your platforms. Again, Twitter, Instagram. We have 1,000 different things, including NASCAR and Apollo F1 too.
Yeah.
But mostly follow us for your Astros baseball and Rockets takes because we were back in the mix, baby. We've never been more back. It's a great time to be a Houston sports fan.
We're 2 games above 500. Like, when's the last time that happened? Like, this late in the year? It's been years.
Literally years. I mean, like I I would have stopped watching by like this time last year or 2 years ago. Would have stopped watching a long time ago.
But now
Like,
we're
I don't
back,
know.
and now
I don't know if
to
that
care
says something about my fandom, but like,
I'm okay to admit that like when the Rockets were ass and terrible, I just didn't give a fuck because it's like y'all don't care. Why should I?
right.
But now we're back. We're
Mhm.
fucking back.
Never been more back until we're further back than this. But right now, we've never been more back. Also, you getting in fights about Alper and Shingun is going to be really, really funny for the next 5 years.
Sixth man.
All right, we don't have to do that here, but you can find those takes somewhere at Apollo HOU. Go to apollohou.com. Dex, as always, what are we doing?
Hashtag support Florence Pugh. Go watch the Thunderbolts teaser she just put out on Twitter and Instagram. It's great.
That cigarette laugh has never been better. All right, we're out.